Dance addresses things like balance, tremors, stiffness, slowness, some of the cardinal symptoms associated with Parkinson's disease. This is just an example of a clip from one of our classes, and I will just play this so you can see how, in this particular instance, we're working on some balance work. We are going to take your foot into what's called a coupe. You're transferring your weight from your first position to one leg, and all I'm doing is taking my toes and tapping them against my ankle. That's a coupe. Coupe means to cut. Right? 1 foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, and switch. All right, so we try to address balance always as a specific point in our class. We know that as we age, all of us have to work on that. All right. The coupe? Oh yeah, I'll show that to you after class. Yeah, you bet. Okay, cognitive. Dance is a cognitive activity. That's where it starts, right? In your brain. Dopamine, all those things that you're very versed on that controls a lot of our movement. So it really starts in our brain first. Dopamine affects our emotions, our movement, communication, a lot of different things. Especially when we're living with Parkinson's, we know how important that is. It's one of those things that's a feel-good transmitter. So I always say, I call myself the Joyologist, right? So when you're dancing, the only thing that you need to worry about is truly feeling joy. Everything happens. All these wonderful side effects that happen during a dance class are truly that. It happens when we dance. All these things that are happening in our brain work marvelously. I don't know how they do it, but it's really a wonderful thing that happens in our brain. And when we can push dopamine like you do when you're in your boxing classes, when we can bring our heart rates up and we can start putting that dopamine into our brains, that's when you start to feel happiness and joy. So it really controls our movement. We also work on sequencing, we work on creation, mirroring techniques, improvisation, memorization, all those things that are coming and stemming from our brains. Did you know that there's certain types of music that stimulate dopamine in your brain? Like the style of music that you like may be a little bit different than the style of music that you like and then that you like, right? But you'll know it when you're sitting, like let's say at a wedding, or you're sitting at a concert outside and all of a sudden you see people tapping their toes, right? What's doing that? It's your connection with that music, and it's rapidly putting information in our brains that gets you to move and tap your toes, right? So from this research, and I'll share a little bit more about this as well. So this is probably one of the best explained reasons about why dance works. Regular participation in a dance class facilitates neural activation of PD-impaired sensory motor areas, thus influencing motor control and improving motor symptoms in people with Parkinson's disease. It's a mouthful, right? But I think as scientists dive deeper and deeper and deeper into this, there isn't still a clear why dance works so well. We just know that it does. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. All right, here's an example of some cognitive activity. They were given 4 different words. They had to put a movement to each word. And at the end of each of those movements, they had to layer in a sound as well. So this was their cognitive activity for this particular class. It involved 4 moves: point, snap, okay, and peace. Here's what they did with it.
3, squirt, snap, okie dokie, peace out.
So they had to layer in oppositional, hands, sides, working both sides of the brain, and then layer in. Yeah, so try it. Take your hand and point 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the next word was snap. So then with the other hand, you had to snap 4 times, right? Next word was okay, any kind of okay symbol. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then peace. 2, 3, 4. So now layer those in. Point. 2, 3, 4, snap. 2, 3, 4, okay. 2, 3, 4, peace. 2, right? So you're kind of doing this to try to figure out the hands and the brain, right? But that's all triggering movement that stems from our brain. So that was a fun activity. All right, one of the wonderful things about dance is the expressive nature about dance. In boxing, you just kind of feel like all bad, right? You're boxing, you're getting after it. Dance allows some of that, but it also allows like this beautiful expression of slow, graceful movement, fun, jazzy movement. Things that are slow make you feel different than a move or a song that's really fast and rhythm, a fast rhythm type of pace, right? So here is a particular example where I like to use a lot of visual inspiration in our classes. So in this particular case, I'll show you this in a moment. We talked about this. Dance tells a story. We express meaning and emotion through movement. And originates from within. And I think that's a really big piece of what dance is all about, is because what comes out of our body and how you move is directly connected to who you are as a human. So how I move is going to be different than how you move, right? And how you move. It's just embracing that movement and doing what you can and what feels good in your body. And everything is honored because of that, right? And our individuality. It's a spontaneous movement to rhythm. We talked about that. People tap their toes when they hear a certain beat of music. And everyone responds in their own way. I'm just going to go through these quick little audio bits right now, just in sake of time. And then we're going to keep moving, and I'm going to show you into this example. All right, here's an example of where I just gave them some verbal cues to movement, and here's what they came up with. Show me what light looks like. What does light look like? Ah, yes, Charlie. Ken, yes. Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, Sue you, yes. You guys, this is awesome. Oh my goodness. Yes, Ross. Ah. Oh my gosh. I don't know that I can choose just one. That's amazing. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. That was cool. That was cool. Thank you for that special moment. All right. So sometimes if you can just take a simple idea as light and pair it with a beautiful song, doesn't matter how you move. It's just that you're finding whatever light looks like. Right? You're painting light on the ceiling. Light originates from our arms and our fingers and our face and our hands. Doesn't matter. It's your light. It's your light, all right? You can take and do with it what you want to. We talked about dance being very creative. It opens the mind. It motivates us. It boosts our confidence. Somewhere along our lives, as children, we're very creative. And then we start to lose touch with that creativity. Some people say, oh, I'm not creative. And I say, you are. We all are. We just don't practice it and use it often as adults, which is unfortunate because it can lead to a lot of really great discoveries. It clarifies our thoughts and our feelings by being creative. It brings people together. We laugh and we learn. Here's a fun little activity that we did. And this is called co-creation, where I come with an idea and my students come up with the actual movements, and they're the ones that end up creating the dance. So this particular dance was called the Hopak dance. It's actually a dance from the Ukrainian culture. And everything that was going on this year with the terrible happenings in Ukraine, I thought, let's honor them through dance. So here's what we did with the word Hopak. We took the words H-O-P-A-K, the letters in that word, and we came up with movement. So this is a really a reduced clip of probably a 15 or 20-minute activity, but it gives you an idea of how we use creativity and what they're coming up with in class. Anything that's inspired by the letter H. So we've got this. Ooh. And then I saw this. Like, this is our middle section. Oh, okay. So there are a tremendous amount of things that we can do with O. What are you thinking? What comes to mind? Let's do a stir the pot. One big stir for 4 counts. And I want you to enunciate the letter O. And then we're going to take 2 sharp vowel sounds of O. 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 P is our next letter. What comes to mind with P? Think about an action word maybe that starts with P. Kind of actionable things start with the letter P. Push. Push. What were you doing there, Janice?
Pepper. Pepper.
Oh, pepper. Pepper. Push. What else did I hear? See. Oh my God, it goes on and on. Punch. Pull. Push. Pick. Well, that P is a good word for, yeah. Pizza. That's an action word for sure. Yeah, pizza. Okay, let's throw the pizza in the air. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to catch it in one hand, and you're going to turn your wrist as if you're spinning the pizza on your hand, like the pizza dough. Letter A. A. Like the Fonz. Like the Fonz. Oh, Artie, that's a good one. Axe. Okay? Let's do both of those. Okay. Artie's pretty fierce. She's got double axes. So, one chop across for each 2 counts. What's the last letter? K. All right. What comes to mind for K? Kiss.
Yes.
Kiss.
Who said that? Who said that?
It's performance time. Let's go.
So they've rehearsed this multiple times now at this point.
Here
so
we
now
go.
we're putting it all together.
Down, in, out. Up, down, in, out. Up, down, in, and out. Letter O. Oh. 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 Get ready. Oh. Letter P. Pizza. Spin it. Ha. 1, 2, 3, 4. Throw it. Catch it. Do that again. Here we go. Throw it. Catch it. Start thinking ahead. What's next? A. Show me A. A. Axe. Axe. Let's do that again. Letter A. 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 All right. Letter K. So that was their whole pack dance. Right? It's fun. That's probably the most fun we have in our classes, when they can create movement together and we come up with all these marvelous ideas. All right. So community. Community breaks social isolation. It allows us to connect, especially when many of you, your worlds are office visits or doctor's visits, or I've met folks who are afraid to even go out in public, and that sense of community where you can just come together. And you don't have to explain to anybody anything. They just get it. You get it, right? It's so wonderful. And then you have that here. What's this amazing community which you have here? Interaction with one another, that sense of belonging. And it really, earlier a gentleman said in the video, it really honors the human spirit. It's about honoring you as an individual. So here's an example. People ask, well, gosh, now that we're on Zoom, isn't it hard to keep that sense of community together, right? Because when we first, how many of you here actually have experience on Zoom or have tried Zoom? Yeah, all right, so most of you, right? So that was, first of all, it was like, what, Zoom? What's Zoom? When the whole pandemic started? And I'm like, I'm not doing Zoom. Like, Zoom's dumb. Is that you? Yeah, I'm not doing Zoom, right? And how can we continue to connect on Zoom? Because we used to have so much fun before and after class chatting. Here's an example of what happens. So Bruce, there's a guy that's on our Zoom call today. He's featured in this video. So if you look in the top, maybe right-hand corner of the 6 little frames, that's Bruce. He's on vacation. Another one of our students flew to visit Bruce, and this is what they were doing before class. Oh, no.
Oh, there he goes. Oh, both of them.
Plastic sharks and inner tubes and just acting goofy. But that's what it is. We find these little moments before and after class to still connect. People go on vacations. They join us from vacation. They travel their snowbirds. They still able to join us from class, which is really fun. It gives us those really fun moments. And then, of course, the connection.
I want you to find someone.
We always
in
try to
Zoomland,
remember
and I want
we
you to
have our
reach for
friends
their
out on
fingers.
Zoom.
Reach like you're right through the screen.
And we bring them into class as much as we can. Hold it. And finish. So that is all about connection, and we've been able to keep a pretty good community going on Zoom. A lot of research has been done. The Dance for PD program has been featured in numerous research studies, probably 40 plus peer-reviewed research studies on the actual dance program itself. I'm going to go through this relatively quickly, but just last year, in July of last year, just a little over a year ago, there was a 3-year study that was done in Canada. And they followed a group of dancers who took a dance for PD class once a week. And they studied their both motor and non-motor symptoms compared to a group of people who did no dancing at all, right? Just to kind of see what's helped us to understand more what's happening in the brain. So there's the 2 groups. We talked about those. All right, here's what they found. Significant improvement compared to those who didn't do any dance exercise. Here's where they found improvement. Speech, tremors, balance, rigidity, cognitive impairment, hallucinations, depression, anxiousness, patient caregiver quality of life. They looked at that. What's happening in a dance class? Because we encourage you to bring a caregiver or a spouse or a friend or family. That relationship building happens in class that you can take home with you, and then you can dance at home together, right? Things that you learned in class. And here's just if you're into like diagrams and scientific studies, right? The top diagram showed that any symptoms that people were having with Parkinson's really leveled off. They didn't really, and compared to the non-dance group, their symptoms progressively got worse and worse and worse, both in the motor and the non-motor symptoms. So we know that something's happening. This was a 3-year study, and that's a chart from that 3-year study. And then they did a projected 5-year study. So that top that A diagram is actual results after a year. And you can see kind of that brighter blue, that was your dance group. The black bar underneath was the non-dance group. So you can see their progression of symptoms worsening in the non-dance PD group. And then they did a projected 5-year study. What is it going to look like in 5 years in those same types of groups? So you can see that there's definitely enough evidence for us to chart out, boy, if you keep at this just once a week, that's it. That's all they required is just once a week to do some of this activity. All right, class is really developed on 4 sections. We do a warm-up. We do center floor work, where we start moving across the floor. We may do some traveling along the floor, and then we finish off with what's called a reverence. A reverence is a ballet term that just means we show appreciation for one another at the end of class. Much like you do in the with your cheers at the end of class, we bring things together and we just honor each other. We show gratitude to each other for being there today. All right, we incorporate a whole slew of dance styles. Every week, the class stays the same for the 3 classes, but then the next week I switch it up. So we're always bringing in something new. Sometimes it's theme. We're going to be doing a themed class today. That's all about Independence Day. That's going to be a fun one, so hang around for that. So anything that I see or I'm inspired by, I bring into class. All different kinds of dance styles. And it's inclusive. You can sit, you can stand. Doesn't matter. I have folks who take my class are in a wheelchair, so everything is adaptable. So you can even start thinking about today when we start class together. If you're going to stand, we can do the entire class standing. You can join me in your seat. You can do a combination of both. Do what feels right and natural for you today, because how you feel today might be different than how you feel next week and how you want to take class. So everything is adaptable and can be done in either position, standing or seated. All right. So this is the part where everybody gets on their feet and we start jamming. See, there's a smile. I just want people to move. I want you to start to loosen up. There it is. Uh-huh. You got it. Are you guys dancing at home? I hope so. Ding, ding. So what happens when you hear music? Doesn't matter. I love going to weddings just to watch people dance. Right? Doesn't matter. Right, so that's what music does. It kind of gets you up, it gets you moving. And it doesn't matter what you do or how you do it, you're just having fun. There you go. Thank you. Thanks for joining me in that dance. That's awesome. Now you're warmed up. Okay, all right, we got a few more things. Music unites. I'm just gonna fly through some of this stuff, guys. I want to get you moving. All right. We talk about music. Oh, rhythmic auditory cueing. I want to stop there for a second. Really, rhythmic auditory cueing is nothing more than a fancy word for music with a very clear beat helps people with Parkinson's, bottom line, right? So there's a little bit later, there's going to be a little piece, and I'll get to it now because we're talking about this. One really good tool to use if you find yourself freezing or you have got tremors or you're finding your feet are cement, right? You can't get that step going. Put a song in your head, any song, anything that comes to mind. And start to move your feet to that song, that rhythm. Same thing at home. Flip on some music at home. Put that music on. You'll see what happens when somebody who is living with those symptoms connects their movement to music. The music just takes over. I wish I could explain it. It's fabulous to watch. It's so rewarding, and I see that all the time in my classes. I have a gentleman who says, Lisa, I live with Parkinson's 24/7, and my hand is constantly tremoring. When I come to your class, I don't feel any of that. It's like a relief to be free of those symptoms. And it's neat. And that effect from class lasts then for a while, sometimes for a day or two. It's pretty neat. All right. Did you know that music, there's a lot of different art forms, right? There's music, there's boxing, and there's dancing, and there's pottery, and there's all these different things. Music lights up your entire brain. So if you're looking at a scan of your brain when somebody was playing music, that's why it's so powerful, because it's getting the frontal cortex, it's getting the whole area of your brain lights up when you listen to music. So I think there's something to be said for that, right? There's something that connects all of the things that have to happen when we get up and we move or we sing or we dance. Okay. All right. I'm going to skip this too because I want to get moving on. So, what is dance? Dance is moving to music, but it's also balance. It's confidence. That's another thing I hear from my students. Family members say, oh, Sue has so much more confidence now. Or my husband, Dave, we used to dance all the time when we go to weddings. And now that he's more physically active and he's gained confidence in himself again, we went to a wedding a couple months ago and we danced for 2.5 hours. I mean, cool that you can give people that back in their lives again, right? So confidence is a really big thing. How you move, how you hold yourself. So if you saw somebody walk into the room like this, it says a signal, right? What if you see somebody walk into the room like this? Confidence. Just how you hold yourself. So those types of things we learn about in a dance class: posture, confidence, how we can move our bodies that make us feel in control. Dance is stiffness, posture, coordination, community. It's improving your gait. It's about feeling your emotions. Some people are afraid of that word. I was, but dance helps me with that. Tremors, your slowness, expression, all those different things. It's creative. It can be fun. It taps into all the different parts of your brain, and it brings joy. All right, there's a handout that I have that you can take with you. This is just some really fun ways to incorporate music into your life and how to do that. So that's a handout you can take with you. And if you're joining us today on Zoom and you would like some of this information, if you just want to chat your information to me, your name, your email address, and your phone number, I can get you all of this information as well. All right, one last little video. Here's a really good example. Her name is Cindy, and it tells her story about what dance and what it does for her.
What happens to me when my feet feel like glue and they're stuck on the floor? I sometimes cannot walk, but I can dance. If I can, I don't know, I can give you an example. Should I start?
Yeah.
Well, for example, right now I'm off. You can see my hand is shaking. I have the tremor. And if I try to walk, I have a great deal of difficulty. I could walk a little bit, but if I pretend I'm dancing, I could go. And I don't have any problems. The music leads. In other words, it's not my brain telling me to take a step or to do this or do that. The music is leading me. So I'm like following this wonderful leader who's so mysterious and has such a lovely sound, and it's going to take me to some other place.
What is that other place?
Well, excuse me. It's a place where you're weightless. You know, your body is just, it just flies. It doesn't tug at you, tug you and pull you and push you and, you know, have you in these knots where you can't move and you can't think and you're struggling and fighting. It just, you know, you go above that.
That's Cindy's story, right? So that is a little bit about the program. That's really all I have. Rediscover joy through dance. Joy. That's really it. Just being happy. Yeah? All right.